Welcome to the first podcast recording of A&T. I am T, and over there we have
A.
And we're going to talk about various things within the podcast, starting with tonight, which we're going to be discussing
Holidays
and traditions and the fun things that go about transpiring with families, which families alone would be a topic we'd do for an entire other broadcast. What is it that you see about traditions that's important? We're going to start right off the bat with a hard question.
Well, I like it because a lot of times it brings back memories from your childhood. And if you're carrying it on through generation to generation. So you're carrying on a value that your family, gave you.
Most important tradition right now.
For
you, yeah. For what's
cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning.
Cinnamon rolls Christmas morning.
Yeah. For you.
Well, hold on, we're not quite done yet. Now, okay. Is this store bought or is this handmade over the oven?
So
grandma style.
Both. It depended on the year. It was the thing that my father did and my grandparents did. Because you always had to eat your breakfast on Christmas morning before you could open your presents. But Grandma made homemade cinnamon rolls, and my dad sometimes did. It depended on the amount of time he had with us. But I liked the ones with the orange icing, so he also got the store-bought for me.
So it's usually food, right? Because most of the time, I feel like when people are discussing what they remember about old family stuff, it's always food related. It's not like this, we did something. The number one thing is, we ate this. Like for mine, it was always little pigs in a blanket on Christmas Eve, right? Wrap it up. My sister would have it with mustard. I would not, but I remember that. I recall that. It's the most important thing, right? So honestly, I keep a bag of little Smokies in the freezer, usually at all times throughout the year, just because they're amazing. That's probably my number one tradition that I remember. But was there any detail? Like, did you do anything else? Was there anything that really sticks out? Like for instance, for me, I know we had talked about previously, not on the podcast, but just between us, that we had this cardboard mantle. It looked like a fake fireplace. Drag that thing all over the house. And it was super ugly, but it was festive. And I remember that for some unknown reason. And it always stuck out. Did you have anything weird?
We got to pick a new Christmas ornament every year for the Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So when you were putting on the ornaments on the Christmas tree, and that was a tradition, too, because when we did the Christmas tree, it was Christmas music, and we would make sugar cookies afterwards. But you always got to get a new ornament before you put the Christmas tree up. And then you had your old ones that you would remember. And I had ornaments from when I was a baby that were on the tree.
Right. So I'm actually getting up right now to grab one off the Christmas tree. So this right here, I don't know, I don't know the age of anybody that would listen to it. But this is Sugar Bear that came out of a cereal box. And I think it still works. And it's been since I was 5 years old. And I'm 37. So I don't know if they can hear it. Let's put it right into the mic so they can hear it, See? Still going. Original battery. They don't make stuff like this anymore. All right, you can stop, Sugar Bear. Thank you. Things like that are but I don't recall it. So if someone says to me, what do you remember? I remember Sugar Bear. No, the only way I remember Sugar Bear is when he shows up right in front of me. Like this. Like, I see him. There it is. But I can remember right off the bat, food-related stuff. Grandma and her pies, just like out of the storybook kind of deal.
But you also remember the scents.
Oh, sure. Sure, you remember... Well, smell. I think it's
been proven that taste and smell can bring back...
Well, it's got recall.
Yes.
Yeah. So... Okay, so shifting gears here, just because we had a basis from where we started from. With our traditions, what would you have be a new tradition? Because now you have older children.
Mm-hmm.
Older's loosely defined. We're not going to try and date ourselves, but
Yeah.
whereas I have 2 younger children.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you start anything new with your daughters
I
now?
did start something new with my daughters.
Starting when?
I have my Grinch parties. I've been doing them for 4 years.
Right. So you're not starting
5 years.
anything new. And I'm saying new as in like this year. Would you start anything new? See what I mean? And
I mean, I tried to make Grinch truffles, but that was an epic fail.
well, it was an attempt.
It looked like a mud ball covered in
Green something.
green something.
Yes, it was the attempt that counted. Most I don't know how to sound. You know what? Screw it. I'm not PC. Most women don't even make the attempt at cooking anymore because they just don't. Something with the era. So the fact that you are even making the attempt is bravo.
Because old traditions are going away.
No.
And soon people are going to lose what was the good stuff.
Yep. And then the tradition will be, hey, remember when we used to have a cooked dinner?
Yeah, remember when I gave you your processed food for dessert?
Yeah, remember when I went out and got McDonald's and brought it home and that was Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
No, thanks. No, I'm good. No. Or what happened to Granny's pies and cakes and cookies,
And those things were made with love. Coming from somebody who bakes, there's effort put into that.
That's there's a lot of truth to that.
Yes,
so you have to put time into it and energy.
Yes, I have had some desserts that take up to an hour in prep time and making and everything else. It's a whole process. So you have to make sure you have all the ingredients. You have to organize everything. You got to clean up after you're cooking. It's a whole. So when somebody bakes you something, that's to me the ultimate sign of love or affection or care is when somebody makes something for you, because nowadays everybody claims they're too busy to even make a meal. So if somebody's baking you something or making you food, appreciate it, because they're putting forth an effort that people say they don't have time for.
Well, not to get sidetracked, but moving past that, because we're talking about traditions a little bit, right? So we have a person we both know. We're going to call her E, okay? Mm-hmm. And E makes pizzas, okay? She
makes good pizzas.
She makes very, very good pizzas. And that seems to be a summertime work environment situation, we'll call it. But they're always really good. She puts a ton of time in them. And I'll be honest with you, if any chance I can get to get one of those pizzas, I jump at the chance, right? You go down to a manufactured place. I'm not going to label out names, but pretty much any like grocery store that puts out things in a deli. It's not that they're bad, but I mean, why would you do that when you have the option of having a homemade, really well done pizza with good stuff in it? So I feel like we're trending away from the topic of tradition, but it's the same thing. We're just trolling.
It's a summer tradition,
right? We're following the food pattern here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same thing. It's made with a lot of time, a lot of love. Sometimes it costs way more money because you're doing it, but at the same time, I'm not sure how you feel about it, but some people, the few people that still bake and cook, they seem to like to put the time into it too. It's not just the end result that they like. They actually like the process of putting it together. How do you feel? Do you like that?
Depending on what I'm making.
Okay. Examples.
So if I'm making cookies, I don't mind that. If I'm making a cake, I don't mind that. I'm very limited in pies. A cheesecake is a process. I don't enjoy the process of making it. I like the end results, but it is one of the more time-consuming things.
Tedious kind of
recipes. Well, you really have to go step by step and know what you're doing, and then it's the cooking time, because not every oven cooks right. So it's a little bit of a stressful process once it's in the oven. Making it's not too bad.
Okay, so
I don't mind it because it keeps my mind busy, it keeps me productive, and I know that there's good food coming out of it that I can give to people I like, so I don't mind it.
So I realize I just took us completely off course with that question, because I really got concerned about the cheesecake for some unknown reason. But, okay, so we used to have cheesecakes to bring us
I
back
thought
to
you
the
didn't really
traditions.
care about that.
I used to actually eat cherry cheesecakes when I was younger. And I mean, yeah, some things fall out and you like them and then you don't like them and then you might like them again. But with me, I used to have them when I was younger. Now, right now, I just don't really care for them or I'm indifferent.
That's probably because you haven't had a homemade one.
Well, yes and no. You know, one of the things, I'm not sure if they've caught on, but it's not just holiday traditions that we're kind of rolling into. We're kind of rolling into anything. Um, I'm a person who I might get masked for it because I know you can't believe it, but I actually just like we talked about mac and cheese. I'm a strict box mac and cheese with shells. I don't know why I like the shells better. Individuals like yourself, homemade, really, put all this stuff into it. It's super cheesy. I'm sure it's really good if you're into it, okay? But it's just not my thing, right? People go, well, how can you eat that processed garbage? It's because, one, it was what I was brought up on, and two, once I tried to have homemade after having processed, it's actually tougher than you think to get off of that.
That's kind of funny, though, because I was brought up on also the box cheese, the Kraft with the spirals. I was brought up on that.
Oh, those are good ones, too.
But I prefer homemade mac and cheese because I taught myself how to make it.
Okay, but you made your own, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the train wreck that I am of a cook and baker is half the reason why I will eat your cooking over my own, okay?
Oh, and I'm a good cook.
Well, huh?
And I'm a good cook.
Well, obviously you're a good cook, or I wouldn't be able to eat that either. We'd be eating Kraft mac and cheese every night. But, things like that, things like that I feel like are kind of what you remember.
Yeah.
They're a memorable thing. They don't have to be, huge plates or dishes or but like we used to have, to get off of food for a second, like we used to do a big real tree at my grandmother's. Mm-hmm. Okay. I feel like everybody at the time did real trees because the fake trees, exhibit A over here, I am now pointing at the fake tree. The fake trees didn't come out, I feel like, for quite a while after that. So, you had the huge fire hazard in your house. You'd go out. My grandfather used to be so pissed all the time because, he'd have to go out and screw with this. And he didn't even want the tree in the house 95% of the time. We'd go out and we'd put it in the car or the truck or whatever junk heap we were driving. And, it turned into this whole thing. Well, after you get it in there, he loved the idea that everybody was there. But every year, when we even think about trees, we always think about the fact that he didn't want to deal with it. And now that I'm older with kids, I don't like dealing with it either. Mm-hmm. So then, fortunate for us, we have these plastic synthetic
all
year round trees.
Seasonal trees.
See, it's a seasonal tree. I do not put this tree away. It moves in a corner and I change colors and
take the ornaments off.
But when you were younger, okay, and you had Christmas, like one of the things that I had, which I think is unique, and not very many people I talked to had it, but we had, both my sister and I had little trees that went in our room. Mm-hmm. And some people have done that, and some people haven't. And I feel like more have not, which I always thought it was like everybody did it, and now I found out they really didn't. They had the one big tree. Everyone hated the process of putting it together, it seemed like. But then I'm like, oh, well, we did 3 trees. We had a big tree and 2 little trees.
It's probably where your love of lights came from.
One of the many problems that I have. But yes, it very well could be. But we'd set up 3 trees, which is probably the reason why I don't like setting up trees even more. But you talk to people and they think you're crazy. Well, why do you have 3 trees? Well, it's traditional in my family to have a tree in each bedroom plus a big tree. Well, you must be freaking nuts. That's usually what I get. But did you, outside of your tree that you have now, which is what, a mid-sized little, it's like a smaller...
Yeah, I just got that a couple of years ago.
That little tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I like it. It's pretty.
Do you like what are your light choices on your tree?
I always do white, but I grew up doing colored.
But is it white
So
like
we did so we always did colored lights on the tree, but we always did white lights outside.
now when you're saying now? Okay, so I know this, and I don't know. Some people don't know the difference, but there's two versions of white. There's fluorescent, bright, blare your eyes out white,
No,
and
mine
then
was more like
there's
a muted, like what's on your
a
tree now.
standard old incandescent light bulb,
Yeah,
yellowish white,
like you
right?
have in your
Okay.
tree right now.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, that's what we did outside, and then my mom actually would let us have the lights. If she bought new lights for outside, she would let us have the lights that were for outside for our rooms. So that was one thing that we got to do, is we got to hang up the lights in our room around Christmas time. But other than that, like, it was all the living room that got decorated. We had our own stockings.
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah. And my dad always pretended to be Santa. So almost every year, my dad would get on the roof and make a banging noise. Even when my parents weren't together, would get up on the roof and make a banging noise. And then he would leave in powdered sugar Santa's boot prints in the house. No matter whether my parents were together or not, he did that. He even one year dressed up as the Easter Bunny.
And he broke into the ex-wife's house.
No, they got along at that point. Enough for that, they did get along. But he even dressed up as the Easter Bunny one year and hopped through the house. He asked my mom, I don't know where he got the costume from, but he did. He hopped through the house and pretended to be the Easter Bunny.
So that's something I've never heard of. Okay, I've heard of people trying to get on the roof, and probably the amount of insurance claims from that have made that drop.
We lived on we had a one-story ranch. But my grandparents' house was two stories. So I don't know how he did that. I don't know if he actually got on the roof or if he just went upstairs and made it sound like he was up in the upper part, because our room was down on the main floor. Probably what he did, but
most likely.
Yeah. He always did that no matter where we were at. But yeah, no, he really did. One of our cousins told us that was older that the Easter Bunny wasn't real. And I think I was 6 or 7 at the time. And my dad dressed up as the Easter Bunny and came to our house and purposely was as loud as possible so that we could see him in the Easter Bunny costume.
If I had a man-sized bunny running around my house, hopping around my house, I'm not sure what my response would be.
I thought the Easter Bunny was real, so.
Well, at your age, yes. I'm just, I was just processing it as an adult.
I'm assuming that him and my mom actually had a conversation and agreed upon.
You don't think he just waltzed into the house in the middle of the night without a conversation?
No, because even my mom's boyfriend at the time went along with it and was like, oh, I think that was the Easter Bunny. You didn't see him, did you? Because if you saw him, you're not going to get an Easter basket. So he went along with it. So they must have all been in on it.
Well, good for them.
I know. Right?
Oh, I don't know. That's okay. So then, to prevent this from dragging on too long about this one thing, I have one final question, and I feel like we're learning about a lot more about each other in this situation than I thought we would. Your thoughts on Elf on a Shelf?
It's so stupid.
Okay. So
it's moronic.
To put context, okay, my ex-wife and I were on the same page for not getting Elf on a Shelf. And one day my kids show up and say this fucking thing shows up to the house down at my ex-wife's, which there was no discussion, and I lost my temper. It's cold-blooded.
Honestly, also, that's kind of, you guys have to be on the same page about that, because when the kids come over to your house,
right,
and the elf is over there, that doesn't make any sense. So, the elf is supposed to follow them no matter where they go. That means now you have to, and it's stupid. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like watching the little TikToks and the videos of where people do.
Yeah, but they're other kids.
Yeah. There was one where a teenage girl did it to her mom. She put chocolate all over the banister going down the stairs with toilet paper with chocolate on it and made it look like the elf on the shelf had diarrhea.
Yeah,
and then was like, you can't give Olivia a whooping because it was my fault.
But see, but here's the thing, right?
It's very stupid.
It's stupid, and in the kicker is, though, which I like to zoom out from every situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
The things that we like that are traditional, non-food, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, that ugly fireplace. My sister and I waking up before everybody else, and we would pick an alternate room every year on where we would open up our stockings before the parents got up.
Oh, that's one I've never heard of.
Yep. Yeah. So
Your parents didn't get upset that you were opening that before them?
No. It was deliberately left out because we would wake up early and they didn't want to get out of bed.
Oh, we weren't allowed to open anything until after breakfast.
Well, the presents weren't opened. No, just the stockings because that was the way they had done it.
We weren't even allowed that either.
But no, and my point is that that's something that we remember, right? And because we remember it as kids, it's statistically proven that everyone thinks that being younger was the quote unquote good old days, no matter how bad they were, right? You always compare now to when you were a kid. Oh, it was better then. Oh, this was better then. Now sucks. I feel like that's the general consensus. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the kids now, and then you think of them as an adult, they're going to go back and say, man, Elf on a Shelf, everybody had it. It was great. We all know it. And we all talk about it. And then some poor kid is going to be in the same situation that we're in right now, talking over it won't be a podcast then. I'm sure it'll be some sort of holographic feature, blah, blah, blah.
Right. And they'll be like, my parents never got me an Elf on a Shelf. Maybe your ex-wife had social pressure.
Oh yeah, there was absolutely.
Maybe people are like, "Oh, you have to get the Elf on the Shelf."
Even the damn school had one. So now I got to call the school and be like, "Do you think that's really appropriate?" Because some people don't sign on to that.
Yeah, that's not appropriate. You take Jesus out of school. You just
bring Elf on a Shelf. Yeah. Listen. Jesus is mythical, but by God, we're gonna
Elf on the Shelf.
Now that's real. Yeah, now that's real. He's really moving. Let's teach our kids a bunch of lies.
We just probably offended a bunch of.
I don't give a shit.
People. That's
right. What do they have? The comment section. Yes. Right in there. Go ahead. Think that I give a damn what you think.
Elf on the Shelf.
Elf on a Shelf blows.
I'm glad I never had to do that. Could you imagine having to think of some creative thing to come up with every night for the damn elf?
Look it up there on the fridge.
Yeah. Now you're doing it.
Well, Leo, my son, is questioning me. He's like, "Well, what are we going to do about Elf on the Shelf?" Well, he had given me this elf, and even though he's young, he remembers giving me this. So when I move it around, he goes, "Oh, you keep moving it." I'm like, "No." He moves on his own. I mean, I'm a complete liar. He knows I'm lying. Mm-hmm. I'm a terrible liar as it is. I mean, what am I supposed to do with this? Here, we're just going to prop that over there. Mm-hmm. I hate Elf on a Shelf. I just want to let...
What's this one's name?
Huh?
You're supposed to name it.
Asshole. I'm going to name it.
You can't name it that. Your kid calls it that. You can't name it that.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. All I know, listen.
Sugar cookie. There you go.
Well, whatever, you know what? Whatever makes you happy is
sugar
fine.
Cookie.
Yeah, Sugar Cookie. We're gonna name him
Sugar Cookie. It's a girl. It's not a boy.
How do you know that?
It's got a skirt.
Those aren't shorts?
It's a skirt. It's a girl.
Either way, Elf on a Shelf
is not... She's got eyelashes, too.
No, listen, the point of the story is it's stupid. It's a horrible tradition. I don't know who started it, but I want to slap him across the face. So I don't want to end on a bad note. So we're going to think of one good tradition before we end it.
Oh, one good
tradition. Yeah, one good tradition. One good thing for the kids now. What's a good tradition?
Do they still do milk and cookies for Santa?
I think so.
Is that still a thing?
I think so because I've been doing it and they seem to know about it.
I have teenagers, so I don't remember anymore.
The one thing that they have is deer. They put out deer feed. I remember this is something that I never did, but my ex-wife's family out front of my ex-father-in-law's, they would put out, I don't remember what it was, rice in a bag or something. I think on the bag it just said deer feed and they dumped a ton of rice in it. And they would just go out and sprinkle it all over the front. And it was to attract the deer. Well, last I checked, the deer are supposed to land on the roof.
Deer don't eat rice.
Okay, well, no, the kids don't care what the actual thing is. Hold on. Listen, my kids...
Leave out carrots.
No. No one dictates Okay, this is gonna. All right, you know what? We're gonna let this run a little
Yeah.
longer.
Carrots.
Carrots. Now look, the kids are not zoologists. Okay, they're like 4 and 5-year-olds. They don't. They just want to know. Like, if they still believe in Santa, they're not going to dissect a reindeer's diet.
I think that's hysterical.
They say, yeah, they throw
like
rice
it's a wedding.
or some. Yeah, well, no, they just go out and they spray it across the yard, and they're like, ooh, and then they look up at the ceiling or at the sky.
They ban doing that because the rice expands in the bird's stomach and explodes or something.
So here's the thing, right? I feel like with whatever they put out there, there were a lot more squirrels that came over to that house and stole everything and ran off with it. I'm sure the environmental impact was large in DEC or whatever people have that's an environmental conservation
Are they
group.
anti-carrots in that house?
because we're recording this, we're going to leave this very loose and just say I don't believe that there's anything of the sort over there.
Okay.
All right, we're just gonna leave that there.
There's no carrots.
We're not gonna worry about.
At least buy one carrot.
Well, yeah, but if you're trying to
attract,
wants
to bite the carrot. I get it. Do you like carrots? Bite the carrot.
Yeah, but you're still doing. Okay, look, hold on. Are you talking about the reindeer? Or are you talking about Santa?
The reindeer eat the carrots. You bite the carrot. I did it every year for my kids. You just
that was never done. In my family, that was never done.
Really?
Never
Everyone
done.
I've ever known does a carrot for the reindeer, except for people that don't like healthy food.
Nope. So what would end up happening though is like at my camp, they would now by they, to give context, I had my aunt, biological aunt, her husband, my grandparents, cousins, various people, right? There's like 20 dogs up there. So what they do is they let these dogs out in the middle of the night running 150 tracks all over the snow. And then they'd come in and they'd be like, well, the reindeer must be mixed in there somewhere. Oh. So us kids would wander out there trying to dissect the tracks like we're Indiana Jones looking at the ground like, is this it? Is this it? It was an easy way out.
Even my dad ate the carrot, and he's not.
But we didn't have a carrot. We did milk and cookies.
Yeah, we did milk and cookies, and then we had to do a big old carrot, and my dad used to gnaw on that thing and hide it.
No. We didn't do anything like that. But yeah, the deer feed, quote unquote, in front of the ex-parents' house.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, they put it out. I've never heard of it either. They're the only ones I know of that do it. And they still do it. And they're going to do it again this year. They're doing it over again. So part of me actually wants to see if I can go down there for this. Because part of me wants to see and remember how they did it. Because it's been a while since I've been done that. I mean, it's been like 5 years. So part of me wants to see if I can, quote unquote, go down to observe this tradition. Okay? And then I can report back with whatever this is going to be. But yeah, that's one that...
That's different.
It's different.
Do they color it different or something? Or
no, I think it's legitimate rice
just
dumped
rice.
in a bag. Yeah, but I mean, I can't even remember. See, you got to remember too, like this was years and years ago. So I'm trying to call up something here. I can't remember. For some reason, brown rice sticks out. Like they put brown rice in a bag and threw it out there, and the kids don't know. They don't know. The oldest kid now, I think, is 18, which means when I was still doing this, he was like 12. All the other kids were much younger. Like,
that wouldn't have flew with my kids because my daughters actually watch a lot of Christmas stuff and they're always feeding reindeers carrots.
Yeah, but you got to remember, the older ones, there's 3 boys and a girl. The boys don't pay attention to anything. They stare off into space. They don't, they know things are happening. They just don't go into detail about it. All right, well, I guess we'll wrap this up. But that is one very small...
Reindeers eat carrots
reindeers.
For future preference.
Apparently,
that needs to know.
According to A, that is what reindeer
Look it up.
eat.
It's one of the things that they eat. They do not eat rice.
Okay, well, how many miles can they fly on a carrot, too?
They eat hay and they eat carrots. And actually, some people even say that Santa feeds them cookies.
It's not good for their diet.
Mm-hmm. Carrots.
I can't believe I'm going to delve into this because I was just about to end, but what kind of cookies? I don't even know why I'm asking this question. What kind of cookies, zoologist, master of all reindeer? Tell me what. Tell me exactly what.
We always left sugar cookies, frosted sugar cookies.
No, I'm not. You're talking as if you've met
I'm saying some people have claimed that they'll make like carrot cookies, or they'll make not chocolate. Usually the chocolate chip go to Santa Claus, but they'll make some kind of gross sounding cookie or like an oatmeal cookie for the reindeer.
Okay, so let me get this straight. The people leave the good ones out for the fat
Santa.
dude. Right. But then the deer that actually do all the work get the nasty ones.
Yeah.
The last thing Santa needs, if we're going down a rabbit hole that will never end. Santa should not be eating cookies to make him fatter.
I wonder what gluten-free families do.
Oh my God, that's a great question, actually.
If anybody out there is a gluten-free family,
please let
us know what dessert you do for Santa Claus.
That's really good. Actually, that's a really good idea. Yeah, please tell us.
Yes.
Or if you're supposed to be playing Santa and you're gluten-free, what do you do?
Like, do you make gluten-free cookies?
They must.
Do you do like a healthier dessert, like maybe an apple or something? I don't know. Maybe Santa wants an apple.
See, that would make more sense.
Yeah.
If you're looking to give Santa, I mean, if he's having thousands and thousands of cookies.
By the way, reindeers eat apples as well. If you don't like carrots, you can do apples.
Oh, Jesus. All right, we're wrapping this up. All right. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.